There was always a serious divide between me and my mother when I was growing up. One of us had to go to bed at 8:30, while the other apparently didn't need to sleep at all. One of us wasn't allowed to watch Disney princess movies because their outfits were too skimpy, and the other was free to indulge in countless documentaries on the minds of serial killers. And one of us didn't even know that Build-A-Bear was a thing until she walked past one of their stores at a mall in Chicago when she was 15 years old, which is far too late. But you're thinking, Daisy, you need to cut your mom some slack. You have no idea what she had to put up with to have you. And you're right, I didn't. Not until a couple months ago. So today, we will first take a deep dive into the concept of baby fever. We will then take a magnifying glass to the brain during pregnancy, and finally, we will break the silence on an issue that is sadly overlooked, the reality of postpartum depression. Now, I am definitely a baby lover. I like to try and catch a baby's attention when their mom isn't looking and make a funny face to see if they smile. But seeing babies in public doesn't make me want to have a baby. But this isn't true for everyone, and not by a long shot. What's commonly known as baby fever, as detailed by Merriam-Webster, is the longing that some people experience relating to the desire of having children of their own. In the real world, you can find countless social media posts of people either trying to elicit baby fever in the viewer or document their own experience. After seeing some cute baby videos on Instagram, user DakaGirl8 writes, "I need to stay off Instagram because I keep seeing all these cute baby videos and it's giving me baby fever." Here's another by user DinoWoolVR. "Baby fever went crazy this day. I have no urge to have kids, but in this moment that all went out the window." Here, this user admits that she has no intention of having kids, but the dopamine simply took over. Merriam-Webster goes on to explain what reportedly happens to someone in severe cases of baby fever, citing feverish dreams of being pregnant and caring for a child, feeling restless from the unfulfilled wish, and experiencing a visceral radiating pain, like actually feeling literal physical pain from not being a mother. And you know, as they say, if there is a will, there is a way. This is where pseudoscidesis comes in, or a phantom pregnancy. And no, it isn't this. Don't worry, ladies, your uterus is not haunted, I promise. It's when the brain and body pulls tricks on you to make you think you're pregnant. The Cleveland Clinic in 2022 explains that patterns can appear that suggest a pregnancy, like morning sickness or weight gain. And this graphic depicts the rare case where the stomach will actually grow in response to the brain's signals. And this graphic depicts a man who is victim to pseudoscidesis, which means, yes, men experience baby fever. However, the process is notably different than it is for women. It's more cut and dry. The Fatherly Newsletter in 2019 cites Gary L. Brace, a PhD student at Kansas State University, when explaining why men experience baby fever, and in summary, it is for one or more of these three reasons: not wanting to be at odds with a partner who does want a baby, becoming more financially stable with age, looking forward to support in retirement, and wanting to put something on earth to continue their legacy. You know, someone to teach the secrets of grilling to, and someone to hold the flashlight the wrong way while you're under the hood of the car. So now that we've decided why you're having your baby, let's walk through some of the things that will happen to your brain while you're pregnant, starting with simply pregnancy brain. As defined by maternal fetal specialist Abdelaziz Saleh with Akron Children's in 2020, pregnancy brain is a process in which the woman's actual brain cells don't change, but the environment around them do. During pregnancy, the body sends a flood of fluctuating hormones throughout. It's like a truckload of different sizes and flavors that affect all different kinds of neurons in the brain. Things like forgetting to go to an appointment that you scheduled, or forgetting to lock the door at night before you go to bed. However, little things like this can be handled by simply setting a reminder or making a note. But you can't really prepare for a long con, because pregnancy brain has the power to make you forget your baby's birth. Not actually forgetting the day that your bundle of joy came into the world, but forgetting all of the pain you went through to make that happen. PsychCentral.com cites gynecology professor Ulla Waldenstrom, who conducted a survey wherein 1,383 women were asked how they remember the birth of their children, and over 50% reported having memories of little to no pain only 5 years after the birth. Psych Central goes on, stating earlier findings have shown that women who have a negative experience have fewer subsequent children and a longer gap in between than women who have a positive overall experience. With some simple detective work, it becomes clear that the brain is playing tricks on these women to warp their memories and convince them to have more babies, all for survival of the species. So finally, what is left when there are no more baby dopamine hits and the rose-colored facade falls away? When you can't sleep for days on end and the sound of crying makes you feel like you're going crazy. At this point, many will begin to feel the effects of postpartum depression. As defined by the Mayo Clinic in 2022, postpartum depression is a myriad of intense emotions of sadness, anger, and anxiety after having a baby. It's caused by a major drop in the hormones estrogen and progesterone that kick into overdrive during pregnancy. But after the baby is out, your body becomes depressed from the drastic change. And not only is your baby high gone, but you now have an infant to take care of that completely depends on you for its survival. So it's not surprising to hear that PPD is extremely common. In summary of an article published by MGH Center for Women's Mental Health in 2023, it's easiest to digest postpartum depression in 3 stages, from most mild to most severe. Starting with the postpartum blues, affecting 85% of women in postpartum. The blues usually only last for a few days, thankfully, and consist of anger, irritability, and fits of sadness. Postpartum depression. 15% of women are still struggling after those first few days, sometimes for up to 3 months. Symptoms include insomnia, self-isolation, and feelings of worthlessness. Finally, postpartum psychosis. Affects only 1 in 1,000 women, yet is certainly the most devastating stage. At this point, violent thoughts become almost impossible to ignore, and in some cases, the mother will end up hurting herself or her child. And if all of this information sounds completely foreign to you, that's because it was only discovered very recently, even though PPD isn't a new problem by any means. The Carver College of Medicine states that PPD wasn't officially recognized as a medical condition until 1994. So, what was motherhood like before then? My mother had my brother and my sister between the years of 1990 and 1992, right before the discovery of the condition. She could not understand why it was so difficult for her to get out of bed or to take a shower. And she wasn't getting any support from her husband, who told her that she was lucky enough to be married to him and she couldn't be acting this way if she was going to raise his kids. There were thousands of cases like my mother's before any attention was given to postpartum depression. All of these people were struggling, but none of them spoke up out of fear of being told that they were only complaining. Now, in 2023, mental health research is expanding endlessly. We now have genetic screenings, crisis hotlines, and authentic websites that don't sugarcoat or gaslight. Organizations like Postpartum Support International, March of Dimes, and the Alexis Joy Foundation have made it their mission to make sure that nobody ever feels alone or worthless in their postpartum journey. Give any of these organizations a call if you want to know how you can help. And if there is somebody in your life who's trying to raise a baby right now, consider offering to babysit or maybe run errands. You could help be the reason that 85% goes down to 60, to 25, to 0. So today, we first took a deep dive into the concept of baby fever. We then took a magnifying glass to the brain during pregnancy, and finally, we broke the silence on an issue that is sadly overlooked: the reality of postpartum depression. So, long story short, I learned that my mother was way too busy dealing with her own issues to make sure that I was in the know about stuffed bears you could dress up yourself. She gets a pass for staying strong for me my entire life. So I hope that when I have kids, they extend the same mercy to me. Thank you.